We are the Catalan independentist resistance, and you are listening to a new update from Radio Hadrian in Free Catalonia.
I have not known a single truth that hasn't been attacked when it was born. Voltaire. This is David Rabantos. This is chapter 54 and 55 from Radio Hadrian here in its English edition. As always, thanks to KA Radio, the voice of new music, Cheryl Scott and Delia Forrest for making this program possible. This program is dedicated to one resistant that's very special for us. She's helping us get in communication, and she has values that are very relevant to us. Her name is Edna Montserrat, and she's an important part of the Catalan resistance movement. This week, we've been lucky enough to give a speech for around 40 people in Café de la Ópera, in a very centric place in Ramblas, Barcelona, just where the false flag attack happened 10 months ago, across the Liceu. And we felt there people warming up. It's very tough to accept everything we love works for our enemy. But people are warming up to the idea, and we're growing in support. And every day we get somebody coming out of nowhere that is supporting us. So we're making this happen, and we're going to declare independence in Catalonia. And then we're going to humbly help you to demote your own traitors in Scotland, like we want to help do in Basque Country and in Ireland, and in every country in the world where the indie movements are run by our enemies. This has been then a special week for us, where we keep feeling support for the cause of Directa 68. This program, I would want to talk about the SNP conference and the SNP marching out of Westminster, and independence that will never come at the hands of the SNP or Mrs. Nicola Sturgeon. Then we're going to talk about how Clara Ponsatí, that is living the big life in Scotland, but has said that they were bluffing in this independence declaration. It was all a bluff. And we'll comment on that. So Scotland is pretty prominent in this program. And then we're going to talk about the video circulating of the so-called political prisoners, which we know they're not political prisoners. And we'll also talk about Pep Guardiola, which seems to be working for independence, but it actually is working against independence. And that will be it. We know it's hard. It's very hard with cognitive dissonance. We couldn't do program last week, so that's why it's program 54 and 55. Paul Václavic taught us about the illusion of the alternative. The system, the rotten system, gives us alternatives that are no such thing. When they make you choose about openly unionist parties like Tories, Labour, Lib Dem, UKIP, or SNP, which is undercover unionist, you don't have real choice for independence. And that's what the choices are in Scotland nowadays. The same thing happens when they make you choose about doing a referendum for independence or not doing it. Both of them work for union, because you'll never break away from the UK with a referendum. We've proven several times in this program how referendums are tricks to avoid independence while pretending to give you the choice of having it. The same goes for elections. Until we change things, elections are there to justify the mob, the mafia system that runs the world. So this week, and I can say this because I did a hunger strike for the independence of Scotland, and I was one of the first people to say that the SNP were Trojan horses of the system. After the Scottish referendum of 2014, when you're not blinded by love, it's so blatant to see that no exit polls, no chain of custody, and polls being put in bans from IDOCs. That could never happen if Nicola Sturgeon or Alex Salmond or the top ranks of the SNP don't work for the other side. When I had face-to-face with Stephen Noon, he ran away from me. Stephen Noon being the head strategist of the Yes campaign, for me, for sure, a mole that ran away from me in Barcelona in November, must have been October 2014, just after the referendum. Everybody running your side works for the other side, and this way it's impossible to win. And that is why it's no big surprise that the idea of just growing the base, growing the grassroots support for independence is the kind of thing a non-independentist would say, because you can always grow support. But if you're decided not to declare independence, like the SNP will never declare independence because it's highly infiltrated. If UK infiltrated IRA, how is it possible that people don't immediately see that the SNP has to be infiltrated at the top? It wouldn't be even necessary that the referendum couldn't have happened without the help, without the direction of the SNP. It should be blatantly obvious. If you can do the most difficult thing, which is infiltrating an iron band, how can you not infiltrate the SNP? Is it the education? Is it media? Is it chemtrails? Is it fluorine in water? What is it that something so blatant as the SNP is working for London brings you abuse and makes you look like a weirdo? I mean, we live in a dangerous world. We live in a very undemocratic world where stating the obvious, like the SNP is run by London, puts you in danger. But of course, it's in danger because only people wanting to demolish the SNP are working for independence, because the SNP are the gatekeepers, the limited hangouts that protect the unity of the UK. So postponing, it's not even relevant, because if the controversy is referendum 2 or no referendum, it doesn't matter, because you're never going to vote yourself out of the UK through a referendum. So it doesn't matter. And then we have the signification and the show and the pantomime in Westminster. Okay, so with the SNP marching out of Westminster and David Mundell saying that you're not a partner in the UK but part of the UK. It's not from Westminster you should march out, making selfies and videos and passing as the big victims. You should have marched out the UK in 2014, not letting the referendum be rigged, or immediately after that when you had an overall majority in Holyrood, or after that when you had 56 out of 59 in Westminster. It's the UK you should have marched out, not to march out of Westminster in a big pantomime and everybody supporting it, and the malls and the social media saying, oh, I had got cold feet from the SNP, but now I'm coming back to the SNP. It stings. It sucks. It's so obviously it is a stunt to make the SNP grow, because they bark, but they'll never buy the UK. With so many leaders of the SNP being members of the Privy Council, how should I even mention the blatantly obvious? No member of the Privy Council can ever be considered a leader for independence. It's a pity that one has to state these obvious things from the distance that gives not living inside it, not having a salary relative to that, not having to have the big trauma of breaking with everything in Scotland. We know it's the same in Ireland. We know that the tops of the Sinn Féin work for London. We know that in Basque Country, everything we consider to be pro-Indi is run from Spain, ETA included. So it's a big mockery, it's a big farce. Either you get the courage to break with everything you have believed since you were born. Everything you have believed since you were born happens to be a lie. The media you trust, the parties you trust, what you believe about AIDS, what you believe about 9/11, all of these are lies. So hard as it is, the SNP is the Trojan horse of London to impede independence while pretending to take you there. It's not going to take you there in a zillion years, because their job is to say they want independence, but to make it impossible. Also from Scotland, Clara Ponsatí has said that they were not really going for independence, and it was a big bluff, which kind of shows, well, that's a criminal offense because it means playing with the lives of 7.5 million Catalans for a poker bluff. First, it's a lie because it's not a bluff. They had royal flush because they have a majority and they won a referendum. So we're not independent because they did the contrary of a bluff. They had a royal flush and they didn't play because they work for the other side. They were in the game to lose for us. They're playing with our money, they're playing with our freedom, but they lost on purpose. So it's the opposite of a bluff. It's a double bluff if you want. But that is a crime. You put the life of 7.5 million Catalans in danger. You've traumatized 7.5 million Catalans because of the trauma of the violence of the 1st of October. Why would somebody accept having committed? Why would somebody confess to a crime like this if it was not to protect something bigger? You only confess to manslaughter to avoid being condemned for murder. The only thing that is worse than committing a crime against 7.5 million Catalans is being double agents, being moles, being traitors, being somebody that works from Madrid, from chapter 1. And that is the thing that to the awakened few, Clara Ponsatí has said, she has accepted being a mole because she is confessing to a minor crime, being bluffers, being incompetent, being coward, when actually they are traitors. The Clara Ponsatí and also a New World Order mole, Amérat Noir, and all that shenanigans. And no lawyer in Catalonia is gonna charge her, is gonna go to court to say this government, because the full government now, because there's still some people trying to pretend that Puigdemont, it was like he wasn't there. I mean, come on. All of them are traitors. But nobody is gonna attack them for putting in danger 7.5 million people. Because every lawyer in Catalonia knows that this is a farce. Every lawyer in Catalonia, every person that runs the world. This is not about nations. This is not about unionists and independentists. This is about the people on top. And people of top are the same team. Those that go to Ascot and those that do these things, those that meekly receive the English Queen. Nicola Sturgeon plays in the same team as the English Queen. And so does Alex Salmond, and so does Carles Puigdemont, and so does Rajoy and Sanchez, and so does everybody, the Rothschild and Soros, and you name it. These people are the psychopaths running the world. And us, being under the Saltar or the Union Jack or the Spanish flag or the Estelada flag, are the people down, people under. And we need to gather ourselves together. And the independence of Scotland and of Catalonia should only be a step towards regaining control over the whole world. Because it's the whole world that's run by psychopaths. But we have a big chance in Scotland and Catalonia and Basque Country and Ireland to show that we can turn the tables on these lies. They run us through lies and ignorance. We're getting cured from ignorance and we have lost fear, some of us. So we're going for it. There's been a video, they made a video pretending that it's a video of Junqueras and other Catalan politicians, and they pretend that it's an involuntarily done video to attack their privacy. Well, the truth is the contrary, and these videos have been published with some dates that are some days before the referendum. So actually these videos prove the contrary. Yeah. We are saying that these people are not in prison or are in prison, but it's part of a farce. And then after we say that, accidentally they produce a video, but this video happens to have some dates on it, some days that are very wrong. So it's all mockery. Now they say that it was recorded by a guy that was on a permission from prison sentence and now he hasn't come back. And then again, the lawyers of the Catalan prisoners have put a lawsuit, but only against the guy who taped it, but not against the newspaper and televisions that have broadcasted it. So they wanted it broadcasted. It's them. The people in prison and the people that put them in prison are the same team. Without understanding this, there's nothing we can understand. The whole thing about the yellow color, the whole thing about the prisoners is the most important battle in Catalonia and one of the most important battles in the world, because the whole world, the whole psychopaths running the world are protecting the traitors. The traitors are our weak spot. If we can put black on white that Puigdemont, Junqueras, the rest of the government, every media in Catalonia works for the other side, the tremendous scam that is the world, where you have non-governmental organizations working for the country that they say to work, and all these things that exist there in this gigantic Truman Show to lie to us, will be exposed when we expose that this yellow thing, this prisoner thing, it's scam. It's to protect them. The plan of the world is to murder independence, and that's the plan. And that's why everybody defending the prisoners is knowingly or unknowingly working for Spain. And that's why the main thing, somebody who's for independence of Catalonia and Scotland has to denounce that these people are not really in prison. It's mockery. That's the most important battle. If we win this battle, we'll be independent. Because as we said in chapter 19, they've been put in prison to protect them. Because they betrayed us by not declaring independence. And that's all there is to say about this. I was a real prisoner. I did a hunger strike for the independence, for the UDI in Scotland and in Catalonia. And every media censored it. Spain put me in a mental place. They tortured me chemically for 62 days. And nobody in the so-called pro-indie field, even when our team contacted them all, moved amongst. Well, actually, some of them collaborated in me being put illegally in the mental place. So we don't believe them. We know they're traitors. So it's either Directa 68 works for the Catalan independence, and everything else you know or hear or you get from Catalonia are traitors under Catalan cassock. And the last thing I would want to talk about is Pep Guardiola. It's the system plays everything they have in football. It's an important part to get people idiotized. Nowadays we have the World Championship. The Spanish coach has been taken away by Real Madrid. Real Madrid is owned by Florentino Pérez, one of the biggest mobsters in Spain. And, well, possibly he's done that, among other reasons, to cover the fact that the son-in-law or the brother-in-law, now the present king, is supposed to be 5 years, 10 months to prison for embezzlement or for some corruption charges. And they, hours after that was known, a big scandal with Real Madrid signing out the coach of the Spanish team 2 days before the initiation of the World Cup. Well, makes you think. Also, there's been a change of government in Spain, as you know, and this minister that was somebody who used to be on television in gossip programs has lasted less than a week because of some corruption charges. All this is staged. So they take Partido Popular because of corruption, and then you put this guy, which you know very well that he was something fishy with him, but then you get him out in 6 days and you come out clean as whatever. It is very tiring. It's very tiring to tell the truth every week to people that don't want to listen to the truth. But we'll prevail, we'll persevere, and we'll prevail. But the last thing is this Josep Guardiola. Pep Guardiola, we've spoken in programs before. He's been there with the cult of the yellow ribbon. He has promoted the referendum of 1st of October. He has spoken for the so-called political prisoners, and he is promoting a Scottish-style referendum. So all these things are against independence, but most people don't know. So he pretends to work for independence, but he does the contrary. But now, in this genocidic program they do called Preguntas Freqüents, where they brainwash the brains of hundreds of thousands of Catalans every Saturday night. He interviewed Josep Guardiola with music of Lluís Llach, when most people think that he's pro-independence, but we have found out through friends that he's not. And that's why he was part of the 2 fake declarations of independence in October, and that's why he threatened Spanish public workers to put people against independence. So then with music of Lluís Llach in TV3, which we know that it's a tool to brainwash Catalans against independence while pretending to do the country, Josep Guardiola, apart from saying that he really loves this anti-capitalistic guy, it makes you wonder, a guy which is a top millionaire, he says he misses a politician that is supposed to be anti-system. Yeah, anti-system, my foot. And secondly, he says things in favor of these political prisoners, which are not political prisoners. But the worst thing is he says something that makes him not only against independence, but also against democracy, but also against the Catalan people as it is. Because he said he brainwashed people. You have to imagine how the manipulation goes. Catalan television, which is loved by Catalan independentists, with music of Lluís Llach, which we've been made to believe he's for independence, but he's not. And Pep Guardiola, which most people love in Catalonia, that we have made believe that he's for independence, but he does the contrary. It's the perfect trap. It's the perfect trap for innocent, naive people. For unaware people, they didn't stand a chance. It was a massacre. And then there, hundreds of thousands of people get stabbed in the back because Pep Guardiola says that 50% plus 1 is not enough to go for independence. That not only means he's not for independence, it means he's not for democracy, because a majority is a majority in any field of life. But worst of that, he considers Catalan independentists undermentioned the same way as Hitler considered Jews. Because it means that the vote of a Catalan independentist, by definition, counts less than the vote of a unionist. And that is xenophobic, and that is self-hate. Pep Guardiola hates Catalans so much to consider the vote of a Catalan less worthy than the vote of a Spaniard. And that is unacceptable. And people doing this program, people in this television, will have to face their own Nuremberg case once Directa 68 declares independence. To finish it off, to top it off, it has been leaked that Josep Guardiola paid 100,000 euros to pay for the reparation of the vote Open Arms. Open Arms happens to be part of Open Society, which happens to be from George Soros. So that's the situation in Catalonia. Everything run by people against independence but pretending to be pro-independence. But we're gathering strength from Directa 68. Thanks for the opportunity given by K Radio. We're going to declare independence, and it's going to be stepped in taking back power from the people that think they control it. We are winning this. We're going to win. Visca Catalunya Lliure.
This has been another update from the Catalan independentist resistance from Radio Hadrian. Remember that you can follow us on social media, either on Facebook, YouTube, our Twitter account, Instagram, Google, Telegram, and also on iVoox.